Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
My name is Clint Macro. Much like you guys, I'm an NRA Training Counselor and Instructor. I'm also a Chief Range Safety Officer, refused to be a victim regional counselor, practical pistol coach, recruiter, benefactor life member, so on and so forth. As you all, I'm a big fan of the National Rifle Association. I'm honored to be here today to talk to you about this program, the NRA Basic Pistol Shooting Program. While I have a microphone, I just want to real quickly thank John Howard and Brett for all of your support, allowing me to be a mouthpiece for this new evolution of the program. And I don't think he's here, but I would also like to recognize Mr. Poole for his years of work at NRA. He has recently retired, and I think he was at home for his wife or something. He's a wonderful man, and it's sad to see him go. I'm also founder of the Trigger Pressers Union. Trigger Pressers Union is my group of individuals in the Pittsburgh area. And while I have the microphone, I'd like to thank Jack Houston. He's my business partner, and thanks to him, go ahead, stand up, Jack. Thanks to him, I've been able to do a lot of things I've done the last couple of years. And also Michelle Koval, I think she's in here too. Maybe not. Michelle Koval is a training counselor in the Pittsburgh area. I work together with her a lot, and she's a great help to what we do in that area. I also was a member of the focus group. As John had mentioned, they called us in, a group of individuals. I don't know what the vetting process was to make us so special to come and work, but we all gladly answered the call. And we talked about ways to help this program. Now, as a result of your participation in this exercise, you should better understand what it is that I'm talking about when I refer to the cause, leadership, NRA answering the call, the NRA cadre, the NRA Basic Pistol Shooting Program, and the 2017 evolution. That's what we're going to cover here. Why do we do what we do? How many of you guys make a living doing this? Some of you might. Thankfully, thank God, I've been doing more of that as the years have gone on. Most of us, we spend a lot of time volunteering at our clubs. I know a lot of guys that work at Boy Scouts. We do this because we want to help our fellow citizens be better, well-regulated with firearms, have them be safe, have them be confident, have them be responsible gun owners. And that's really the cause. And if you look at the goal of NRA training, it's very simple, to educate our fellow law-abiding citizens of the safe and proper use of firearms. Pretty simple. We're not teaching people to jump out of helicopters. We're not necessarily initially teaching people how to become a championship shooter or perhaps to even defend themselves with a firearm. We're building that solid foundation of comfort and safety. Our students leave our class, they're safe, they're not going to hurt themselves, they understand how the firearm operates, they have a level of competency that allows them to shoot nice little 4-inch groups, and they're excited, and they go out and they continue training. And they get further training. So we build upon that foundation. And then they can go on and become their family first responder. Then they can go on and learn how to, or go on and achieve shooting those matches to win those gold medals. But we build upon that initial foundation, and that is our goal. Now, NRA leadership, they answered the call. Unrolled the blended program last year. And then through December of 16 through March of 17, they brought us in, training counselors and a few industry professionals. We have one that wasn't a training counselor. He's what I refer to as a professional gun rights activist. And these individuals, along with NRA staff, we discussed ways to enhance the basic pistol program and enhance the cadre. Let's see how we can improve the cadre. We want to make us better instructors. It's all about quality. That's really the ultimate goal. It's quality within the program and within the instructor cadre. The focus group that came out. Jimmy Granville, would you please stand up? I know Jimmy's here. John Green, he's not here today. Myself, David Matthews from California. Larry Pope, he's go wave everybody, see, say hi. Stephen Reed, Richard Smith, and Jim Wallace. Jim Wallace is over here. So these are the individuals that came in, and a lot of NRA staff and board members and directors. It was kind of a whirlwind. I see all kinds of people that I maybe saw on the website. So a lot of people involved in this. A lot of ideas bounced back and forth. We suggested a lot of things that NRA leadership didn't adopt, or maybe they're going to put into play later, and there were some other things that we had mentioned that they hadn't thought of. It was a great opportunity to kick around ideas. I know myself, I spent a lot of time during that time calling all my instructors, talking to all my guys and saying, hey, what do you want me to tell NRA leadership? What do you want me to say? Make your voice heard. And so we had a lot of different input. Of course, we had a lot of instructors that had talked to them over the year, and we had a lot of students that took part in the blended program. And they had lots of great things to say about that program. Now, the Basics of Pistol Shooting Course blended program is excellent. I'm a firm believer in that. And I can tell you, from my experience, I would hope that many of you guys would agree, the end product, the student, the end user that comes through that program, I think are better prepared. I think the learning retention, the information that they keep in their brains sticks. I had a 68-year-old woman that never touched a firearm in her life, was never even in the room with a gun, so much that she knew. She took the online training, she reviewed it twice, because she was kind of nervous coming to class. Showed up for the instructor-led portion, and right away, she could tell me what a misfire and a hang fire and a squib load was, and she could tell me what she needed to do if it happened to her on the firing line. I thought that was a wonderful thing. I've seen lots of those kind of stories take place. But reality is what it is, and we talked about what are the downfalls here. And I think what most people agree was we just weren't getting the numbers that we were getting previously. The program worked well. I know some folks in some states where they were using the training for carry permits. I know they had some other challenges that needed to be addressed. But generally speaking, as a education system, the only problem with it was we weren't reaching as many people as we were before. So let's go back to what our goal is. We need to reach our fellow citizens. So what we came up with was a way to keep stepping towards the digital future, put one foot into the analog, and we have more options. NRA instructors and the end user have more options to get training and to give training. The NRA project, we are all a part of something much bigger than ourselves. And I tell my instructor candidates all the time, say, hey, you guys are now NRA instructors. You are bigger than yourself. You know, what I do affects all of you guys. And what you guys do affects me. So we need to kind of raise the bar, take great pride in it. We need to be ambassadors of safe firearm usage in all act explanations and deeds. Our instruction can't stop when we're done with our class and we hand out a certificate. You know, wear that patch, we're in the grocery store and we're in the line, someone's picking up some Cheetos and they say, hey, you teach. Yeah, and you talk about firearms. We want to be that ambassador. We must exhibit, explain, promote, and reinforce the highest level of professionalism at all times. I know when I first got involved with training, it was a side thing. I actually helped out my training counselor. I was Gumby. When he would teach rifle class, I was the guy that got down into position. He'd say, well, observe how Clint's arm is, and that's what I did. And that's how I kind of weaned into the training. And it was a hobby for me. It wasn't something that I was looking at as a professional. But as I started to influence more and more people, I realized, man, I need to treat this as if I am a professional. And after adopting that mindset, I've really upped my game. And I challenge all of you guys, whatever you think your level of professionalism is, next time you do a class, try and outdo yourself. And you will find that every class will get better and better. We must also take it upon ourselves to educate our fellow instructors. You see an instructor that you meet somewhere and maybe you don't know him, talk to him. Hey, have you heard about the new program? You know, answer some questions, spread the gospel. We need to educate our cadre as well as our fellow citizens. Now, much like NRA programs, we too must expand, we must evolve. So consider doing a refresh. Yeah, you may have taught the bit 50, 60, 100 times, 5 times, however many. When's the last time you went and saw someone else do the bit? Just kind of sit in and observe. Not a bad idea. Okay, it's 6 hours of your time. Well, actually, I've never done the bit in 6 hours. I don't know where you got that number from. Usually it's a lot longer than that. But maybe come and audit someone else's class. Seek out the bit. Look at some continuing education, some enrichment. There's lots of resources out there for us to broaden our minds. Keep an open mind, new ideas. I'd like to share a quick story with you. Once upon a time, there was a man that made the finest buggy whips on the planet. And people came from all over the earth to buy these buggy whips made from the finest grade leather. They were handcrafted. And he charged top dollar, and people were proud to throw down the money on it. Then Ford made cars, and no one gave a damn anymore. So what we need to learn from that is that we have to stay current. We have to stay with technology, learn new techniques. I'm sure there's something you guys have been training a long time. Maybe there's something you taught 10 years ago, but now you no longer teach. Because you've evolved. You've seen, well, okay, this maybe works better this way. Or maybe we've seen dashboard cameras or other things that give us empirical evidence that show us a better way to do things. But we must always evolve. And that's what's happened with the NRA-based pistol shooting program. So I call it a program. That's one of those phrases that I've coined. Called a program. Because really what we have now is NRA basic pistol instructors, is 4 products that we can sell, for lack of a better term, to our students, the end users. We have the Basics of Pistol Shooting blended course, and it's been enhanced, but it's the course that we've been teaching the last year. We have the Basics of Pistol ILT, Instructor-led training. This is basically going back to the full-on instructor-led, where we have a PowerPoint, and the instructor is covering all of that information that the students would receive in the online portion if they were doing the blended. We also have the NRA Pistol Marksmanship Simulator Training Program. And a lot of the instructors aren't aware of that program, and that's something that's been around for a while. But utilizing fine products like the SIRT pistol. Mike Hughes is back there. You've revolutionized training with the SIRT pistol. Matter of fact, I'd like to give him a hand for that. Using a SIRT pistol or some laser training device, we can teach a class, give them some good knowledge, and it doesn't go bang. And we can do it in a hall at a church. We could do one right here. We don't have to worry about a backstop. We don't have to worry about live firearms. We can do it in a gun-free zone on the campus. I'm trying to pull one of those off right now. So, it gives us a lot of options. And with that, then we can get them into a live fire course. I understand some folks in New York will use the NRA Basics of Pistol, the Pistol Marksmanship Simulator Training Program. They'll run people through that. Because I guess in New York, you're not allowed to touch a gun if you don't have a card or something like that. So they'll take that class, they'll get the NRA certificate, because we can give a proper certificate with that course. They go with their card, they come back, and then they do the live fire course with their pistol. That's one way they can stay compliant with the laws. Again, laws sometimes suck. We have to abide by them. If you don't like them, write your congressman. Better yet, call them and go visit them. You do, if that's how we want to change things. Now, the Gun Safety Seminar, this is another program that we have available to us that lots of people don't know about. How many of you guys got one of those emails, hey, you want to come volunteer at Cabela's or Gander Mountain? You guys get those? Well, anyhow, the Gun Safety Seminar is a program, I believe that's what they developed it for, but it's up on NRAinstructor.org, and it's a nice little seminar. It took me about an hour the last time I did it. And there's a really nice brochure you can get off of Program Materials Center. It's about $2.50. You don't have to supply the brochure. It's just a little extra thing. But about an hour, it covers a little bit on, of course, safety rules, our 3 safety rules, and then what I refer to as the other 8 rules. And then we go over just basically how rifles, pistols, shotguns work, a little on storage, and a little on cleaning. Just a nice little introduction, if you will. So we have that. That's available to us. So think about using that as a marketing tool. Find a church group or find a Mason's Lodge. I'm a Mason. I put them on my Mason's Lodge and a few other lodges in the area. And it's a great little program, and from there we can build that client base. We can get people to sign up for other classes. It's all about building relationships with the end user. We want to become their trainer, and they'll always come back to us. Now, some enhancements on the blended course. Let's talk specific enhancements. The course control codes. Now, course control codes are not one of these things that I made up. That's an actual proper nomenclature for what these are with NRA training. The course control codes are a way for us to issue access to the online training, the self-study module. So whereas before, last year, during the blended course, of course, we had someone want to sign up and say, here, go over there and sign up and take this online class, and come back to it. Well, we no longer have to do that. We can have someone sign up for our class. We can build that relationship with them right away and say, here, and give them a course control code, and then from us, they can sign on, log in, and do their online training. We can keep in contact with them. Hey, while you're doing the training, if you have any questions, give me a call, send me an email. We can start building that client relationship with them all through the process of the blended course. Now, the course control codes are accessed on the main page. And how many guys have seen these? Have you been on NRAinstructor.org recently? So if you go on the main page, you can see them there. You can click on them. You can pre-purchase them. And whereas before the online training cost $60, we can purchase them for $25 and build them into the cost of our course. So you can charge whatever you want for your class, obviously, but just factor that into your price, and then your end user doesn't have to get confused taking money here, there, wherever. They can just write a check or do however you do your payment, and they can pay you for the class. You can take care of that online training access to the course control codes. And once they get the code, then a really nice email comes out and gets them started. It tells them how to sign up onto the online training, and it gets them on their way. So that was one of the issues that was brought up a lot of the focus group. So here we are trying to build these relationships. Someone comes to you for a class, you're like, oh wait, go over here. Go over here and take this online. So this fixes that. It was a great idea. And at $25, it saves money. And I don't know exactly what the cost of putting the online courses. There's lots of costs that go into it that we're maybe not cognizant of, with development and the legwork that goes into it. But the NRA really took quite a cut on the price in that for the instructors to give the students that for $25. Now, we can buy one at a time, we can buy a whole bunch of them. If you want to buy a bunch and sit on them, that's fine. It's up to you. Or you can just buy them as you need to. The only way we can issue one, however, is if someone signs up for our course. So when they sign up in the course roster, we'll get we get that email that says, hey, someone signed up for your class. We go in the course roster and it says course control code. We click on it and we can assign a course control code. So we can't just say, buy a $25 course code and give it to your brother-in-law and let him go do the online class. He has to take the class. Can you remember a question? We'll do them at the end. Is that okay? Great. So you can pre-buy them. You can sit on them however you want to do it. But the only way to issue them is by having someone sign up for a class to begin with. Now, the self-study module, the online class, the $60 class, it's still going to be there, and it's still going to be $60. So someone surfing the internet in the middle of the night in their underwear, if they want to decide to take this class online, they can pay $60 and they can do it. And they could still sign up for one of your blended courses by using a PIN number. We'll call it the old system. They can still do that. However, if they sign up for your class before doing this, then of course we can issue them a course control code. The Phase 1, Phase 2 terminology has been phased out. That's kind of fun to say, right? We're referring to it this way. We have the online self-study module, and then we have the instructor-led portion of the blended class. It's a little bit semantic-y, but I think it really says what it is. People can take that online class at their leisure, in their underwear, at 2 in the morning, 20 minutes at a time, or however they want to do it. So it is the self-study module. Now, some of the modifications that have come about to the lesson plan for the blended lesson plan. There's been some course information clarifications. There were a few little gray areas in the last version. We now have a defined course goal in the lesson plan. And training counselors, how many times have you gone through and start talking about the course goal and can't find it in the lesson plan? So we have a defined course goal. We also have additional parenthetical direction. One, for instance, is we talk about the 3 rules for gun safe handling, for safe gun handling. And we, always keep the gun point in safe direction, always keep your finger up here, always keep the gun loaded so ready to shoot, right? Well, in the text, it also mentions that perhaps we should talk about what that means in our classroom, as we're all probably going to have some demo guns that we're going to be using. We're going to have our safe direction in the classroom that we're using, so we have to adhere to our safe direction for demonstration. We also want to talk to them about what that means, what the 3 rules mean at the range, when we're going to go to the range. Of course, we would be redundant. We would cover this too in a range safety briefing. And then take the time to talk about the practical application. What's a safe direction at home? How do the safety rules apply for instance, in a self-defense situation, and have those discussions so that we can be sure that people understand what those safety rules mean in all of those different types of environments. There are some round count clarifications. So instead of having to sit there and do the math, it'll tell you, minimum 5 round, minimum 10, so on and so forth. So there's some clarifications in the notes section on the pages of the lesson plan. And this one I'm rather proud of. I hope that I had some influence on it. Trigger press replaces trigger pull or trigger squeeze. We went through and changed the text on that. Although I believe the test of the ILT class still says press and, it says pull and squeeze. I need to check that. This was very important to me, and I'll just take a moment to talk. Squeeze kind of insinuates I'm moving all of my fingers because of how we're built. We're ergonomically set up to grab things like this. So press is really a singular motion of the finger. And I can talk about that all day if you guys want to catch me afterwards. I kind of feel strongly about that. But I'm very pleased that they listen to me or I guess indulge me is more of a proper way to say it. And I included that in some of the changes. Now, the instructor-led course. This is our second product that we have available to us. The ILT is what we're going to use as far as referring to this. The instructor-led course, the ILT, is 100% analog in person. So if you want to hold a poster up and hit it with a stick to show the ammunition components, you can do that. We're covering all of that information again in a live class. We're going over, basically, those of you that have been around for more than a year, so you remember the old course. It's basically the old course again that we have available to us. And we want to use whatever course is going to best meet the needs of the end user in our area. I know some demographics are really liking the blended learning, and other folks that don't have time, maybe they would rather do a one-day class and just get it all done in one day as opposed to having to do the online training. So we have those options. With the instructor-led training, with the changes going back to the old way, so to speak, there's a memorandum of understanding that instructor candidates are going to have to read and click and basically sign when they log in NRAinstructors.org. How many of you guys have seen that? Okay, yeah, so that's just telling, asking people, hey, you need to keep up with things and stay on track and follow the policies, procedures, rules, regulations. It's kind of a way to just reinforce that we're going to do what we're supposed to. We have student packets again for the ILT. So we can order those student packets, and there is a written test. There's a minimum score in the written test. So in order to assure that someone that took the blended course or takes the ILT course is going to have the basic level of training, they have to meet a minimum score, and they're going to have to shoot the level red qual at a minimum as well. So that standard will be the same regardless of what class they take. Now, the ILT, again, 100% in-person, 100% instructor-led. And it's our analog version of the course, and it's for all of those people that don't like those new-fangledy computery devices. Some of us in here maybe don't like those computery devices, I don't know. But that's what the class is for. So we can get people in, and we can cover all of the information using all of our good old training tools and training aids, and work together with the students to get them to the training in that analog format. The performance requirement checklists are required. So the performance requirement checklists that we use in the blended, we still need to use them in the instructor-led as well. Now, when I first heard about the performance requirement checklists, I know we've had them as an option, and frankly, I would use them in the personal protection series, but I never used them in basic pistol. They were always kind of, frankly, a pain to have to deal with the paperwork. However, since they were imposed, I really kind of rethought my position on that, because what I found them to be is a wonderful opportunity to sit down and review with the students. So we'll cover our modules that we need to cover. I'll say, all right, it's paperwork time. And when we teach at our sportsman's club, Jack is the chief instructor at our club, we'll take a break, and luckily we have a lot of volunteer instructors there, so we usually try and maintain a one-to-one instructor ratio. So we do our paperwork, everyone kind of peels off to the side, and they just kind of sit down and say, are you good with this? Do you understand this? Are you okay with this? And then, they say, yeah, I get it, and yeah, I taught it, and that's kind of what the performance requirement checklists are supposed to do. So then we sign off on it. So it gives a nice little break, a chance to review. That might be one way you would negotiate that. It's up to you guys how you want to run your classes. Now, the memorandum of understanding, again, that outlines the new changes, and the instructor is required to read that memorandum and then check the box accepting the new terms. So let all of your, those are your training counselors, make sure you let all of your instructors know that they have to go on and do that. It's a great opportunity, too, kind of like every year we change the batteries in our smoke detectors. Make them go on there and make sure that their contact information is updated. And I tell people this, they never believe me, but NRA training, I specify training. NRA training is never going to call us. They're never going to send us a piece of mail unless there's a real problem, which, there are other departments within the NRA that may not apply to. But NRA training is only going to contact us via email or through the NRAinstructors.org website. So make sure your instructors and your fellow instructors go on there and take a minute to read that, click on it, and make sure their contact information is up to date. Even if they're not terribly active instructors, it's a good idea to have them go on there. Plus, there is some other information. There's some cool videos on there about the Pistol Marksmanship Simulator Training Program they could watch, which is AKA Simco. No one forgets that reference. I'll talk about that later. So do this as soon as you can. Get on there and get that clicked off on and make sure that your contact information is correct. Now, the student packets, as you can see there, I just recently did this. The student packets are $12.50, and they consist of a handbook and a test. That's what the packets are comprised of. One of the things of being part of the focus group that was kind of eye-opening for me, I didn't really understand how program materials worked, and we were talking about it. Remember, from time to time, we have shortages of materials. And it wasn't so much, I guess maybe at one point this might have been different, but it wasn't so much that they were out of the materials, it's just they were all pre-packaged. So you had a book, you had a pamphlet, you had a test, you had this, you had all the pieces that comprised the packet. They were all there separate, but someone had to pack them into the envelope, and then that envelope got a SKU number, and then that was put into the stock. So that's what they knew that they had. So because you notice recently they're not coming in packages and bags anymore, they're coming in single items. So because of changing that, it's made it a little more efficient, and they're able to get the materials out there quicker. So with the packets that we're getting now, it's the book and the test. And the certificate, we have to get off of the website. I'm going to show you guys that here in a minute. I believe they're working on the book, new book coming out maybe this year. Some new designs, new stuff that's coming out. Again, this program is going to continually evolve. Now, the written test. Students must fall at a minimum level read and achieve a 90% minimum on that test. If they don't make 90%, then yes, we're going to have to sit there and do the math and figure out what 90% is. Make yourself a cheat sheet, it'll go easier. Or use the calculator on your iPhone. Again, we talked about those computer read devices. But they got to take the test and get a 90%. If they don't get a 90%, we can retest up to 5 times in one calendar day. Now, you guys have all taught classes, so it's pretty rare you get someone that really kills a test. And oftentimes it's a reading disability, is usually what I found. And if you talk through the test orally, a lot of times they get that. So you might need to do that. But they need to get a 90% on that test, or we can't issue them a certificate. And, of course, achieve level read on the qualification. Now, the score, we have to record that into the course report before we submit the course report. So after the class is over, we click pass, pass, pass. We do all that. Also, then we have to put in the score for each individual person. Then we can submit the course report. It goes in. Once we submit the course report, actually, I got ahead of myself. So we have to submit that course report before it goes in. Now let's talk about some options that we now have as NRA Basic Pistol Instructors. And these options apply for both the instructor-led course and for the blended course. We have an action-specific option. Now those of you that used to teach the First Steps program a lot, this is your answer. If we want to, we can list a course as specific action only. You do a revolver only or a semi-automatic only. Now, if it's the blended class, they're still going to get the entire self-study module that we've seen. They're going to get exposure to all of the different action types, but the instructor-led portion of the blended, we could just go over semi-automatics or blocks or revolvers or whatever. Do a class in high points if you want. Same thing would apply for the instructor-led. We could do an instructor-led course that's just one action. if we wanted to do that. Now, we can't just willy-nilly off the cuff decide I'm only going to teach blocks today or some other class. We have to set the course up ahead of time and specify that it is a full course. As you can see there, I took that off of the website. A full course, a revolver only, or semi-automatic only. And this will be reflected on the certificate as well. Another option that we have is the bench rest policy. If we need to, we can forego the bench rest live fire. However, we still need to cover the bench rest position using a SIRT pistol or a UTM product or something like that. They're going to shoot through the entire course of fire, but we can do that in the classroom environment using simulated training devices. UTMs are fantastic. A little bit of an investment, that's definitely worth the money, and heck, you know, you can buy it to use in your classes, you can use it yourself, and you can shoot your basement all afternoon long. A great product. So UTMs, LASR software, SIRT pistols, we can use that for the bench rest procedure. At my range, I don't have an issue with that, but I'm sure some of you guys will see, and a lot of the guys in the focus group have said they really just weren't able to put benches on the particular ranges that they had. So we can now set up a virtual firing line in our classroom, save some tables, put some rests and bags up there, have them run through some trigger cycles, and we can shoot that bench rest position using those simulated products in the classroom, then go to the range and then do all the live fire standing. We have that option. We also now have the option of the PowerPoint for both the blended course and the instructor-led. I kind of like going out and working, I call it Sermon on the Mount style. I'll stand in the dirt and draw pictures with a stick in the ground and do that kind of thing on the range all day long. But if we want to set up a classroom and use the PowerPoint for the blended and for the instructor-led, we can use the PowerPoint. And the PowerPoint will look a little familiar to you, those of you that have been teaching for a while. So we now have PowerPoint for both the blended and the instructor. The color quals. We still have our color qual targets. Now, some people were having a difficulty with losing their front sight, especially in indoor ranges with that blue qual. You guys experienced that, any of you guys? No? No. We've seen that happen a few times. And so to make that easier, you'll notice that the new targets just have the color of the ring on the outside. It's still a 4-inch circle. The inside is white on all of them. It'll make it a little easier for folks to see their front sight. The targets are 4-inch circles. Again, frankly, if you want to set up meat paper and you got a 4-inch compass and you want to draw a circle, you can certainly do that, although it kind of cheapens the experience for the end user. However, we can do that if we need to do something on the fly. The targets are 4 inches. We can shoot them at different distances. Of course, we shoot the entire course of fire at 15 feet, and you tell people it's time to qual, and they start to freak out, and they lose their mind. We've seen that happen. It's like, it's okay, because we're going to move you closer to the target now. So we shoot at 10 feet for the red qual, and then 15 for the white, and then, 10 for the red, 15 for the white. Good, thank you for that. So that's how we're going to shoot the quals, just as we have. If you're an indoor ranger, you can change your target line. Say you've got carries, it's real easy. You could have these guys down here shooting red, they're shooting white over here. If you have a fixed target line and firing point, it makes it a little difficult to run the different quals at the same time. One of the things that Jack and I have done at our sportsman's club is we'll shoot the qual as long as we feel like it. Of course, people end up getting burned out. We only had one student not do the red qual. It's been easy or achievable. I'm not saying everyone comes out first time out of the gate and they get the red qual. Pretty much everyone's done the red. We get some with blue. And what we'll do is every couple of weeks we get pizza, have a night of fellowship. People come back and we call it qual night. People come back and they qual and we try and make up quals, or we shoot the additional quals, or they shoot the instructor level. So that might be something you might want to consider. Now, one little piece of advice on these targets. Any of you guys ever print the target out and then measure it? They're not quite 4 inches. And I looked into this. Most printers, as I've been instructed, print at 97%. So if you print your PDF out of a printer, it comes out 97%. You're looking at 3 3/4 inch instead of a 4-inch circle. So you're kind of cheating your students. So my recommendations, and I've done this quite a bit, it seems to work out. If you print these at 103%, whether you're using a photocopy or you're doing your printer, print them at 103, check them with a tape measure or something. Once they're printed, you'll find that they're pretty much right on the money. So 103% is what I would recommend printing your targets at. Of course, check them with a ruler, make sure they're correct. Now, the student certificates. The Basics of Pistol Blended and the Basics of Pistol ILT will include the course name, the certificates rather, will include the course name. It will also include your instructor name, a place for you to sign. You guys noticed the last version of the certificates, you really didn't have a place to sign. So a place to put our signature, also has our instructor number and a certificate serial number, a watermark, and it will also specify blended ILT. It will specify if you did semi-automatic only or full course. There's a lot of information on there, and the only way to issue a certificate to our students is to do the course properly, submit the course report. Once the course report is submitted, we can go ahead on the roster, on the course report rather, and we can click print certificates, and then we can print the certificates. A lot of us don't have a printer at our range, and it's a little difficult to negotiate that maybe. What I've been doing is frankly charging an extra $3, and I'll print them in nice cardstock, and I just mail it to them after the class is over. And people like getting that in the mail. And I'll always put my card in there and a schedule for other classes I have coming up, and every time I mail them out, I'll see people signing up for classes. So you can take advantage of that as an opportunity to promote your other classes that you're putting on. And of course, as I said, the certificates are accessed via that course report. Now let's quickly talk about some policies for training counselors. We've talked pretty much about the administration of putting on the Basics of Pistol course, but as training counselors, we have a change in how we train our instructors. As I said, one of the things that we wanted to do, aside from improving the Basic Pistol course, was also to kind of up the value, up the competency of the instructor cadre. So, people need to attend an ILT course, instructor candidates. They have to attend that course as a student. They need to complete the Basics of Pistol Shooting Self-Study module, the online module. And of course, they need to attend the instructor training, which would include the BIT, if it's their first time out. Frankly, I personally try to encourage folks, even if they took the BIT a month ago, I try to encourage them to sit through it again. Because, heck, I've taught it a million times, and I learn something every time I crack open that book. It's a great way to reinforce. And of course, then they'll need to shoot that NRA pistol level qualification. Now, the pistol level qualification, they can shoot that during their ILT class. If we end up going through all the quals and they shoot that, then that would save you time, perhaps, during your instructor level training. There's a couple reasons for this. Now, you'll notice I have an asterisk on number 1. Attend NRA Basic Pistol ILT course as a student. I have an asterisk. It's recommended, it's not required, but it's recommended that those students attend that ILT with you, the training counselor. And what this does is it gives them more experiential training. They understand better how the program is supposed to work because they saw you show them how it's done right. And you can say, hey, I'm showing you how to do it by the book. And they'll get to experience that. So they'll actually be involved before they get into their teachbacks. Multiple experiential training opportunities. They'll need to dedicate a little more time in their instructor training. They're going to be a little more vested in it. So, however you want to work that out monetarily, right now I get a range pretty cheap. It certainly isn't free, but I get it pretty cheap. So I've just upped my charges a little bit, and I'm telling folks the instructor-led training, the student level course is free. I just included it in the package. And, I'm paying my costs. I'm not going out of pocket on it, certainly. But I tell them, look, you have to take this. It's free. You're not going to pay any extra for it, but it's required. People are like, yeah, okay, great. Frankly, in the past, I've had instructor candidates where they were very surprised that they didn't have to take the student course. So I think a lot of people are totally cool with it. And I think it's a better program because people are going to have more experiential training and see how it's done correctly. In the training council, we'll have the opportunity to ensure that instructor candidates experience that end user experience properly. And it's encouraged that training counselors, when they put on that ILT for their instructor candidates, maybe ask some of your recently freshly certified instructors that you just certified a month ago, hey, why don't you guys come and help? And you can do this module, maybe help me on the firing line. And then it reinforces their training because, hey, there's only so much we can do in a couple days of instructor campus, right? You know, we're basically vetting them, seeing that, okay, are they going to go by the book? Are they going to be safe? Are they going to be a good fit? We show them as much as we can, as we know from the bid, like 60%, whopping 60%, if everything's done right, that they're going to retain. So if we can get them to come back and help us in that class, well, then that reinforces their training, and it makes it better for them. And any way you look at it, we're making the instructor cadre a little bit better by doing it this way. Now, some closing thoughts. You guys need to help spread the correct information out to your fellow instructors. You need to make sure folks get the right information and help educate them. We must work together to up the game and offer the highest level education, highest quality education, for the good of the cause. Because why do we do this? To help our fellow citizens become safe and confident and comfortable with the firearms. Help educate your fellow colleagues and maintain, or better yet, raise the standard of training. As a unified group, we can accomplish anything. I am part of your training team. So if you guys have any questions, comments, feel free to contact me. There is my email address. There is my website. And after, I put out a couple of those videos. I've had people from all over the country asking me questions and sending me emails. And I've been doing my best to field those questions and help you guys be better trainers. If you happen to be in the Pittsburgh area and you want to sit in on a class, if I got an empty seat, man, give me a call. I encourage anybody to come and audit any of my classes. Because then I can find out from you guys, hey, anything I can do better, make myself a better trainer. I always charge my students after every class, after a couple days of decompression, send me an email evaluation. Don't pull any punches. Let me know. It's the only way we know where we're deficient is if people point it out. Luckily, I get a lot of really good ones. Every now and then, someone will send me something like, wow, I never considered that. And I straighten myself out and I fix it. So that's how we need to look at it. So with that said, fellas, I thank you for the opportunity to be a mouthpiece for this program. Well, thank you very much for your time, everybody. If you have any questions, you can see me after.